It says, however, despite all our efforts, the business failed to generate the revenue we needed to sustain that model, and eventually we ran out of money. So, despite our efforts, the business failed to generate the revenue we needed to sustain that model. Again, it sounds like they were spending way more money than they were able to make. That's what that sounds like. This is starting to sound like creator clash.
That sounds like a bunch of shit that VTubing company does not need. You're bleeding money in all the wrong places. God, we're going from one to another. Oh my God.
Have you heard of Vshojo before?
No. Let me preface something. If you've watched any of the gaming content on Kmplxity, there's a character in Death Stranding which is very out of character that looks like this, and I'm not amused. I'm not amused.
Okay. Well, so Vshojo is a VTube company, right? And it pretty much has imploded at this point in time. There is allegations of embezzlement of almost $1 million, and it was something that was like kinda was in the eye of people like not too long ago, but it was more so kind of just like, hey, they're really bad at like the way they treat their talent and all that. But IornMouse here, this person, one of the founders, like not founders, but like one of the first people to actually join Vshojo, basically came out and was like, yeah, they stole like $500,000. And it's completely crumbling down.
Has IornMouse ever shown her actual face?
I don't think so. I don't like VTubers.
There's like a 50% chance that it's actually a guy.
Well, see, that's the reason too. Like, I don't really like VTubers, and I don't like covering them. Yeah, because it's like you fucking, you're a grown ass female pretending to be a little kid like 99% of the time. But this is still a pretty big like thing that's out there that's going on right now that I figured we could cover, because this like Vshojo got fucking huge and massive, and they've had their controversy over the years. But anyways, just to bring it into the people who may not know about Vshojo and VTubing, I would simply say don't go into it really, because I'm a
YouTuber.
I am leaving Vshojo. Unfortunately,
I sped up her voice because this bitch talks way too slow.
Recently found out that for the past couple of months, I have been misled by Vshojo. With the information that I currently have, I believe that I am owed a significant amount of funds, which I have not been paid. And most importantly, the thing that hurts me the most is that the Immune Deficiency Foundation, which is the most important charity to me, and also the reason why I'm here today, is owed over $500,000 from Vshojo.
So
okay, pause. Yeah. Real quick, pause. It's always the fun things, and it's the same thing with Machinima. When they were not paying people. I guarantee you there's a clause in your contract somewhere that you didn't read because you're dumb, and you go, I'm not getting my money. Well, there's probably somewhere in your contract that says they're allocated a certain amount of money. Like that 9 times out of 10, that's what happens in these cases.
Not entirely sure. It is possible, but I think that I can akin it to the Machinima shit, because that was a huge thing with Machinima, is that people weren't getting paid what they were supposed to get paid. People who were supposed to be on the front page of YouTube wasn't, or on the front page of Machinima. It's more so about not only was her and other creators not getting paid, the actual CEO of Vshojo took money from the charity from the charity foundation that she raised money for. So she raised like over $500,000 for a charity, and the CEO of Vshojo took money from that charity fund to cover expenses for the company.
Ew, that's gross.
Yep. So
I know that this is a lot, and it's very important for me to be honest with all of you. I really want to tell you everything, but unfortunately right now, I have been instructed by my attorney.
Hold on, real quick, really important. I know this is going to sound redundant. It's really important for her to be really honest with everybody. But she's VTubing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Not showing her real face.
There's a catch-22.
Just kind of break down the morality aspect. I understand people like having avatars; they feel more comfortable that way.
Well, anonymity too.
The honesty aspect of it kind of just goes out the window a little bit. Sorry.
No, I agree with you. I definitely agree.
To wait for more of the legal procedure to unfold, so one day I will be able to tell you the full story. But for now, I just need to let you know that I will no longer be a part of Vshojo. If you give me a moment of your time, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I know for a lot of
So this is Vshojo right here. Like, this is their actual Twitter, and this is Justin or Gunrun, the person. So I'm going to read this prior to, you know, her portion of the video and all that. But so this is Gunrun, who says Vshojo has failed, and I've mismanaged the company into the situation you're all witnessing. So today I am sharing the difficult news that Vshojo is shutting down, and I take full responsibility for the decisions that led us to this point. I've been doing everything I can to fundraise and right the ship these past few months. But despite my efforts, we are in a worse position, and those I care about are now paying the price. I'm not exactly sure how you could be trying to fundraise and be in a worse position than you were prior. Like, once you start going into the red, how is it that your efforts to fundraise money for your company has now turned around and made you lose even more money? That doesn't make any sense. It says, over the past few years, we raised around $11 million to pursue a bold, talent-first approach in VTubing, prioritizing creators and community over short-term profits. To achieve long-term sustainability, our fundraising went directly to our creators through generous splits, debut investments, infrastructure, concerts, events, and staffing, and all designed to support them. This is starting to sound like creator clash.
That sounds like a bunch of shit that VTubing company does not need. You're bleeding money in all the wrong places.
Well, they did do a whole lot of crazy things for like fundraising, and like they had concerts at like what do you call it, like events and venues and stuff. But it sounds like some creator clash type of handling is going on, where they had all this money that they raised and they were spending it faster than they were making it. That's really what it sounds like. It says, however, despite all our efforts, the business failed to generate the revenue we needed to sustain that model, and eventually we ran out of money. So despite our efforts, the business failed to generate the revenue we needed to sustain that model. Again, it sounds like they were spending way more money than they were able to make. That's what that sounds like. Additionally, I acknowledge that some of the money spent by the company was raised in connection with talent activity, which I later learned was intended for a charitable initiative. Now, that is false. That right there is incredibly false. So what he's basically saying is the funds that was raised by IornMouse for a charitable event is what he dipped into, and didn't realize that was the money that he dipped into. But if we come over here, there's a couple of different things. So this is the gun run. This is the guy who wrote that. He says, "You did it, Mouse." And this is her talking about how she, in support, changed the life. Thanks for the community. We did. This was her reaching the goal. And this one here. So you can see that he is reposting Ludwig, showing that they ended up reaching like the sub recordathon, which is where she made all the money for the charity. So it's basically just showing you that he was completely aware that the money that was raised for this charity, that money was raised specifically for the charity right here, that he's trying to say, hey, I didn't know that it was for we just got a check of like $1 million. Didn't know that it was actually for charity. It just came out of the air one day.
So I know it was marked for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, but I thought it was for, the newest Xbox. Okay. I mean,
I thought it was for all of this. This is what I see happening. She raised all that money. He was in the red. He took the money. He took some of the money to try and pay off expenses, thinking that they were going to make enough money to be able to put it back into the charity fund. That's, again, it's just
a risk.
It's short-term embezzlement. That's literally what it is. And the reason I think that is because he turns around and says, at the time, we were working hard to raise additional investment capital to cover our costs. And I firmly believed, based on the information available to us, that we would be able to do so and cover all expenses. basically, I took money from the charity and I thought we'd raise enough money to put it back before anyone noticed. That's just what it sounds like to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about here, but that's just the way it feels. He later goes on to say we were
around, and now I'm finding out.
Well, he's I don't know how you can have $11 million and run through it in so few years, man. Like your talent, the talent was millions and millions of subscribers, billions of views across all of them. The amount of money that they were making, it's like I can't help but equate it to fucking Creator Clash, where they're spending more than their overhead. They're spending way too much money, and now it's all crumbling down. You're going over here borrowing from this person to pay off that person, and yet you're still in debt. He says, we were unsuccessful in our fundraising efforts. I made the decision to pursue funding, and I own its consequences. I am deeply sorry to all the talent, staff, friends, and community members who believed in our brand. You did not deserve this. And as we can see, like, it's been community noted, saying Justin claims to not know the purpose of the funds that he stole from, but he personally congratulated IornMouse on the completion of her charity fundraising event and reposted Ludwig directly, mentioning that half the funds would go to charity. So she ended up raising well over $1 million, and that motherfucker was like, ooh, that's a nice paycheck for me. Yeah, bro was like, oh, snap. Yeah. And so this is another person who worked for Vshojo, but we'll get to that a little bit after.
People right now, but this might be the first time you're ever watching me. I became a VTuber because I really wanted to make friends. I was very lonely. One of the last things on my mind. I just thought that I would stream to, started to take it seriously around the time when I was approached to join Vshojo, and it was through Vshojo that I was able to grow into the IornMouse that I am today. When I was approached in 2020 and asked to join Vshojo, it seemed like a good idea, but I honestly did not know if I could ever be a corporal VTuber because I felt like I just couldn't. In my mind, I saw myself as unhireable, which is why streaming worked for me. I had no boss, no...
So the whole reason, again, and I'll sum this up just because I'm trying to specifically go for the whole Vshojo portion. She actually has a immune deficiency, which leaves pretty much doesn't allow her to go anywhere or do anything. And she was like bedridden for most of her like young life, or essentially she's like house. She has to stay like within the house and all that because of the immune deficiency. Yeah. And that's kind of like how I think a lot of streamers tend to like start out, or YouTubers tend to start out all the time in their, in their room all alone. But basically that's one of the reasons why this charity was so important to her, is because she actually has an autoimmune disease.
Strict rules. I had no hours, no expectations. It was all up to me. And due to the fact that I have lived my life chronically ill and being unable to do much of anything, I just felt like there was no way that anyone would ever take me or want me. For a while, I was struggling to make a decision, because I was afraid about my anonymity and afraid about trusting people, because I felt like every time I put my trust in people, it always ends in grief for me. So I was worried about expectations and 1,000,001 other things. But I ultimately decided to join Vshojo. It really pains me that I am unable to fully explain why I am leaving.
And the reason why is because unlike the other people who left before her, she's still under NDA. So she has to either wait for courts to reverse that, or for it to basically just die off.
Run out, yeah.
But for right now, here's what I am allowed to share with you. I would always be told how important I was for the company, and I was always told that I was needed in order for the company to succeed. Although that was very positive to hear, it put a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on me.
And I'm going to be honest, she's not like wrong as far as like not being a part of the whole VTube community and all that, but like some of the people like Garara, and then there's IornMouse, like there are some names that even if you're not a part of the VTube community, like there's just some names that are out there, especially on YouTube, that you just know are famous people. even though you don't like really care. It's the same thing as like a musician or a band or something that you don't listen to. Like maybe you didn't listen to Ozzy Osbourne or Black Sabbath or anything like that, but you still know the King. You still know the Prince of Darkness. Like, you know that motherfucker.
To the point where I felt guilt tripped into signing. I felt responsible for everybody. I felt responsible for staff and talent alike. And I felt like if I didn't do this and if I didn't stay, I was hurting everybody and I was destroying everybody's life. But this didn't feel right with me. And I began to feel extremely uncomfortable, as my viewers know.
And that's actually kind of crazy because she kind of was. Like, she kind of was that integral to staff, considering he took money from her charity, from her charity fundraising event to fucking pay off the red line in their quarterly. Like, he took money she raised in order to sign motherfuckers' paychecks, it sounds like. So that is crazy. Like, imagine having that. Imagine you go into work tomorrow and your boss is like, all right, Zeph, so if you don't put in these 8 hours, you know, little Johnny and everybody else at work, they ain't eating tonight. Like, oh man.
Privacy has always been one of my biggest concerns. I've had a lot of scary experiences in my life. So one amazing thing for me was the fact that Vshojo handled all my payments, and it meant that I never had to give out any of my personal information. So that was always a blessing to me. As time went on, I decided that I wanted to try to start pulling out my remaining funds because I wanted to start taking over my own finances. This is what led me to this point. Throughout the years, Connor and I have raised around $4 million for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. The majority of the money raised is through Tiltify at events like the Cyclothon, the charity auction, and other miscellaneous events that we've had. However, because of the success of my first subathon, I decided to donate half the earnings of my following 2 subathons to the Immune Deficiency Foundation. The first time I tried this, it worked great. Over 200,000 people supported me, and because of that, we raised over $329,350 to the Immune.
Now, I don't really care about VTubers, and I honestly think that a lot of them are kind of weird, and the people who watch them are weird, but that is an amazing thing. Like, I love the fact that these people are raising millions of dollars, and it's so very, like, it's not really, you know, because it's outside of the commentary community, it's not really something that people talk about. Plus, it's also positive nature. So because it's positive nature, it's not really something anybody within the commentary community talks about. But
easier to talk about bad things than it is about good things.
Yeah, because they tend to linger a lot more. But it's pretty awesome that they were able to raise fucking over $500,000 or $5 million over the years. Unfortunate that the CEO decided he was going to take it to, you know, start paying people off.
Immune Deficiency Foundation. Because the money came from my Twitch revenue instead of a Tiltify link, it required Vshojo to make the donation on my behalf. They promptly sent the payment, and the subathon was a huge success. So I decided to do it again the next year. My last subathon was one of the biggest events I've ever done. The support was overwhelming, and I ended up getting over 300,000 subscribers and breaking the all-time sub record. But this all—
Yeah, she beat Kai Cenat, if I'm not mistaken, which was pretty freaking awesome.
Also meant that we had raised $515,000 for
$515K. And all of that was taken away from a charity. So to come over here, and then we'll probably end up wrapping it up. This is a person who was a part of Vshojo as well. And this person's NDA is now null and void. So they say, why I left Vshojo. Back in 2023, Vshojo tried bullying me into one of the most predatory contracts that I have ever seen. And I will say this, you have to remember that VTubing originated in Japan. And a lot of the time, they are not seen as people. They are seen as commodities once they enter into these things. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like the videos of influencers who are all in like a warehouse and they're all like stacked up and set next to each other. These people like K-pop bands and stuff like that, they are like born to be these things. Like from the moment of birth has decided you're going to be the next K-pop band. And it's, you think that
it was the same thing back in like 2011 and 12 whenever fucking Machinima was going under. Like people were getting threats. They're like, you're either going to join this company or we're going to make sure you never get demonetized. You're never going to get monetized on YouTube. You either make money with us or you make money nowhere.
Well, and it's even worse than that. Like in K-pop and stuff like that, in Japan, in these very predatorial contracts, it's like people aren't even allowed to date. Like they're not allowed to date. They're not allowed to be seen with like the opposite gender outside of things. There was this one chick, I forget exactly what K-pop group she was a part of, but she was like caught holding hands with a boy or something, and they ended up like in public, like shaving her head because of it. And it's like these
you did great crime against our company by holding hand of other male.
Well, it's selling such a crazy image of, you know, purity, basically. And yeah, it's just wild. These are incredibly
painted beyond our human image.
We own you all. Yeah, it's incredibly predatorial. I'm sorry, like it comes from the Japanese side,
modern day slavery, dude.
Yeah,
it's like modern day slavery.
And the Japanese side of all of this VTuber shit wasn't good. Did you really think that the American side was going to be good? I'm sorry, but like, so the person goes on to say, when I try to ask more about it, their COO got extremely hostile with me and refused to answer any of my questions. So I had to hire a lawyer in order to get some clarification. That's honestly, if you're online, if you're a content creator, you want to do business with anybody, you need to get some sort of contract in place, and you need to get somebody who understands what's in that contract to look it over. Whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a friend, whether it's whatever, like you need somebody who actually can walk you through it, because a lot of the time you need a lawyer for these contracts. It says, during the talks, it became clear that Vshojo would rather let me go than to take less away from me. They were ultimately wanting me to give up more than half of all my sponsor revenue and over 60% of all merch sales, which is insane. That means
Keemstar level.
That is some, bro, 60% of my face. You want to take 60% of my face. That's what you're telling me? And half of all my sponsorship? First and foremost, sponsorship shouldn't even be touched. Like, that is somebody wanting to sponsor me, not the company. And 60% of all merch, like, I can understand if that's maybe where it starts, and then as the years go on, more of it gets transferred over because they're, you know, putting in the sale, they're creating it, they are doing the distributing, they're doing all this stuff, right? But that's an absolutely predatorial contract, and it's crazy. That's like a WWE contract right there.
Yeah.
It says, all I asked for them in return is not take a cut of the sponsors that I was getting through Mythic, as the cut was already being taken, They said no, they want it all, and so I asked to leave after being treated like I was disposable in our talks. They basically made it seem like they were my employer and that they're the reason for my success, that I owe them, and that I should be happy to give them my money. Well, I mean, technically they are your employer because you were with them, and I'm assuming that this contract was a re-up or not. Maybe. But a lot of the time, it is like this, especially like in the WWE, like John Cena, like Mr. McMahon gets a cut of anything John Cena or The Rock does because he owns those IPs. And John Cena even talked about this and said like he's happy to give that percentage away because, you know, without the name John Cena, he wouldn't be where he is today. Like if he never took up the mantle of John Cena, he wouldn't be who he is. So a lot of the time, these organizations, they end up owning your IP. They own not only your IP, they own your character, they own how, like, the creation, they own, even sometimes they'll end up owning your videos as well. Like, whatever video you do with that IP is theirs too. Like, there's a lot of crazy things that occur in companies like this. It says, in order for me to leave, they demanded I sign an NDA that prevented me from speaking to any other talent about it. I could not say why I was leaving. I could not say what the terms that I was saying not to were, or saying no to were. I even got in trouble for advising them to hire their own attorneys. Yeah, and generally that's what it'll happen too. Like if you end up leaving a very litigious and predatorial company like this, they'll have you sign an NDA saying that you won't, talk ill. Submission. Yeah. And there's also an NDA doesn't always mean a non-disclosure. It could also mean a, what's it called? A non, it's like being derogatory. No, that's not a non-compete, a non-disparaging act, which means that you can't talk ill of the company after you've left it, right? Goes on to say they would watch my streams, read my Discord, and then threaten to sue me if I said anything that hinted towards how I really felt about the company. I was threatened with a lawsuit. Another one of their leave terms was that they will announce both me and Silver on the same day in order to minimize the damage to their company. Their COO has begun to push a narrative on 4chan, yes, I'm serious, and other social media that I'm leaving because I plan to join OTK and that both me and Silvervale are troublemakers, so they were letting us go. And it's, yeah, and that's the other thing, in the Japanese companies where they host VTubers and all that, they don't say like they're left or anything. They typically say something like they graduated or whatever. And it's very Twitch style, where if somebody leaves the company, they are no longer, they just don't exist. So if you talk about them, react to their video, or have them on stream or anything like that, you could end up getting fired for it. Or like you could end up having your your earnings cut or something like that, which is kind of crazy. But like these things are just insane. Yeah, this is 1942 LCU. Okay. It says later I found out that Nanners wanted to leave, and around the same time due to also being unhappy with the contract, but was told that she could not because it did not fit their narrative that they were pushing internally and externally. Now that's an allegation. Says the amount of hate we've gotten over leaving, from fans calling us greedy bitches and people saying we're abandoning our friends and tossing aside the community because we're successful enough, shit was fucking painful. Not being able to say anything sucked. And this is why you don't sign an NDA. This is why you don't sign NDAs, because you have no idea. You can have NDAs that last for fucking 10, 20, 30 years. You know, there's a reason for a non-disparaging agreement. It can make sense, but a non-disclosure agreement, I'm sorry, online, there's very little that you need to be signing a goddamn NDA for as a fucking creator. I can't imagine. I would never work for somebody who wants me to sign an NDA unless we're like creating something in a goddamn laboratory, or, you know, or we're like creating a fucking movie or something like that, like something big, then maybe. Yeah, something warranting of it, because there's no way that some crazy shit's gonna be happening and I'm just gonna sit there and not say anything about it. She goes on to say, I only found out I didn't get paid for any of my sponsors after I had already signed the NDA. After 2 years, I still have not been paid back fully. To add insult to injury, they also demanded I had to pay them back $10,000 for some of the anniversary assets, which when they sent me back months later were half finished. I'm not exactly sure what the anniversary assets are, but motherfuckers were like, hey, we're not paying you. Also, I'm gonna need you to spot us 10 racks real quick. Holy crap. And see, that's the crazy thing too. The NDA was 2 years long. 2 years crazy. 2 years of having to like have your fans turn on you and you not being able to say anything that occurred. That's crazy. But god damn, Vshojo is a bunch of fucking pieces of shit, man. Out here not paying them most likely tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then turning around and telling them, oh, you owe us for product. Fucking hell. Despite all of that, I've had immense faith that the company has gotten better over the past 2 years. Well, your faith your faith got tested and it wasn't strong enough. I assumed they rewrote their contracts after losing 3 people due to them and seeing all the new talent join. No, they never do. And that's the thing about companies. They never change unless the bottom line is at jeopardy most of the time. That's usually how it works. Clearly, this was not the case. Now for some fun facts. Their company lawyer has an expired law license. He literally does not practice law anymore. Yeah, he was our point of contact for any legal help we needed. Well, okay. you don't have to practice law to be able to give legal advice, but you can't like go out here fucking, try. Okay, well, if you knew wait, hold on. If you knew he literally doesn't practice law anymore, why would you be scared of a lawsuit then? He wouldn't be able to sue you. He wouldn't be able to write up the lawsuit to come after you. They actively pitted us against one another during my time there and compared our success to others. They tried enforcing streaming schedules so that our view count would look better due to less overlap. Yeah, I can understand that. You don't want them to stream at the same time, or you don't want them to stream so close together. They want it to look as prestigious as always, and pitting them against each other like competition. But I mean, most of the people on Vshojo, if I'm not mistaken, are females. So it does make sense. Like, god damn, they were just having a whole ass cat fight over there. Like that bitch got more numbers than you. Go out there and get that bread. Jesus. Feel bad, man. It's basically a fucking workshop.
Sounds like a pretty company altogether.
Yeah, man, it's a fucking sweatshop. They would always shit talk other VTuber agencies. I'm pretty sure that's par for the course. They literally would spend company money to get a tiny dig at them, especially HoloLive. It literally lived rent-free in Gunrunner's head. Oh, wait, how? They were convinced HoloLive was over when they signed Kason and Nazuna. Wait, no, spill the tea. How did they spend money to get back at them? I want to know that. They like hire somebody to go over there. It says our previous talent manager got ghosted for 6 months by Gunrun, told not to do any work for us, and then got fired for not doing anything. During this fiasco, we weren't able to get any assistance. It sounds
hey, you don't do anything. Oh, by the way, you're getting fired for not doing anything.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about this. Oh my gosh. Says MTD got reprimanded for being creepy to us. Got told not to message us privately. Go figure. I don't know who the fuck MTD is, but bro, if you got reprimanded month to date, no, it's a person. But bro, if a company is telling you, hey, don't DM these females, all right, don't stay away from them. There's an issue.
Dog, just stop.
I have proof from other streamers attending their IRL parties that MTD would actively shit talk me after I left the company to paint me in the worst light imaginable. Okay, well, I can definitely understand that coming. To know why you're acting innocent on Twitter, pretending you weren't aware of anything. Can't wait to see all the shit that comes out about you besides because there's loads, but those aren't my stories to tell. Thanks for reading, and thanks to those who stuck around. I hate it too. Stuck around, blah, 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 no doubt. So Vshojo is basically just an absolute piece of shit company. Terrible fucking
the machinima
company.
of VTubing.
Yeah. And it's so we got a bunch of people out here just saying, basically giving their freaking, hey, we're, happy for you, blah, blah, blah. But this is the problem. Like, as content creators, you have to listen, it's the whole reason why people become content creators and really push forward to try and get, recognized, to try and get a big name out there, is to go into business for themselves. So if that's really what you're trying to do, you should be incredibly weary of anybody that wants you to be a part of some sort of like content creator entity. Like, these content houses never worked. They always got really, really popular really, really fast and then completely exploded due to a bunch of drama. Like, these VTuber agencies have been going out one by one because of all the crazy practices that have been going on. It's just not something that, I don't know, like you guys, you got to be careful out there if you're trying to be a content creator. There's only so much that you should be willing to take from anybody, and someone taking my money just ain't it. I would, I don't know. It's the same thing of like working at the LCU. It's like, yeah, sure, you might be making more money than you would be on your own, but is it really worth putting up with all that bullshit?
And then you get a portion of all of it on top of all the bullshit you got to put up on the daily. Flipping Keem, who just kind of does whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's like there's literally no reason for it, in my opinion. At least I don't get.
And let's not forget, when you piss them off, when you piss him and Mike off, they go, "We're the two biggest dudes in the industry. Fuck you."
Yeah, when they're not even. Yeah, nobody really thinks of those two.
It's a fucking pissing match for no reason.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, you know, but just it's good to these people, right? Because they're all coming out, they're getting their stories out there. It's unfortunate that like Vshojo's going under, because that most likely means they're not getting that pay. They're not making that money that they're owed. Because they can file for bankruptcy, and considering that they didn't take them to court and get any judgments, which null and voids bankruptcy laws, they're not getting anything. Hey, what's up, Wings of Redemption? What did Vosh do? Well, Vosh ended up messaging somebody who was apparently underage, but we only have so much. Yeah, shocker. But only have so much evidence. The person who sent in screenshots and all that doesn't want to come forward, so there's only. You kind of have to take it at face value, but it's not that difficult to believe. I mean, Vosh, the guy who defends lolly porn and thinks the age of consent should be lowered, yeah, 100%. Easy to believe that. But hey, man, I mean, shout out to IornMouse and to them for raising over $5 million for charity. And fuck the CEO that stole half that money in an effort to try and pay motherfucking bills, bro. It's crazy. I can't. Ugh. It's absolutely disgusting. That dude is weird. How does he have sponsors? Not a fucking clue. Not a fucking clue. He's leftist. Honestly, I think that's the reason why. Is because there's only so many voices on the left. Right, like there's only so many people, and they're gonna champion and be willing to disregard everything. I mean, look at Destiny. Destiny literally admitted to sharing, porn between him and a friend of his, and people still champion him on. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
The weirdest internet degens these days get fucking sponsors, and yet we're out here just like we're trying to be good people on the internet, and that's just not enough.
Yeah, it is. I'm leftist and I get destroyed. Yeah, well, yeah, listen. Apparently you just got to find the right freaking the right community to love and want
to the right audience.
Yeah, pander to the right audience. Apparently, fucking I know, man. It's wild. There's certain things I will do for money, but selling out and selling myself and all that 100% ain't it.
From zero to hero, we rise up tall. Till we cover them.